Hi, second graders. In our last reading of The One and Only Ivan, Mac was concerned that business at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade was down. And so Ivan was thinking, since people like to watch him eat, that maybe he would try to eat more than his usual 45 pounds of food a day. He was thinking maybe he could hit 50 pounds or maybe even 55. So let's continue. Bob. I explain my plan to Bob. Ivan, he says, trust me on this one. The problem is not your appetite. He hops onto my chest and licks my chin, checking for leftovers. Bob is a stray, which means he does not have a permanent address. He is so speedy, so wily, that mall workers long ago gave up trying to catch him. Bob can sneak into cracks and crevices like a tracked rat. He lives well off the ends of hot dogs he pulls from the trash. For dessert, he laps up spilled lemonade and splattered ice cream cones. I've tried to share my food with Bob, but he's a picky eater and says he prefers to hunt for himself. Bob is tiny, wiry, and fast, like a barking squirrel. He is nut-colored and big-eared. His tail moves like weeds in the wind, spiraling, dancing. Bob's tail makes me dizzy and confused. It has meanings within meanings, like human words. I am sad, it says. I am happy, it says. Beware, I may be tiny, but my teeth are sharp. Gorillas don't have any use for tails. Our feelings are uncomplicated. Our rumps are unadorned. Bob used to have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Humans tossed them out of a truck onto the freeway when they were a few weeks old. Bob rolled into a ditch. The others did not. His first night on the highway, Bob slept in the icy mud of the ditch. When he woke, he was so cold that his legs would not bend for an hour. The next night, Bob slept under some dirty hay near the Big Top Mall garbage bins. The following night, Bob found the spot in the corner of my domain where the glass is broken. I dreamed that I'd eaten a furry donut, and when I woke in the dark, I discovered a tiny puppy snoring on top of my belly. It had been so long since I'd felt the comfort of another's warmth that I wasn't sure what to do. Not that I hadn't had any visitors. Mac had been in my domain, of course, and many other keepers. I'd seen my share of rats zip past, and the occasional wayward sparrow had fluttered in through a hole in my ceiling. But they never stayed long. I didn't move all night for fear of waking Bob. Wild. Once I asked Bob why he didn't want a home. Humans, I'd noticed, seemed to be irrationally fond of dogs, and I could see why a puppy would be easier to cuddle with than, say, a gorilla. Everywhere is my home, Bob answered. I am a wild beast, my friend, untamed and undaunted. I told Bob he could work in the shows like Snickers, the poodle who rides Stella. Bob said Snickers sleeps on a pink pillow in Mac's office. He said she eats foul-smelling meat from a can. He made a face, his lips curled, revealing tiny needles of teeth. Poodles, he said, are parasites. Picasso. Mac gives me a fresh crayon, a yellow one, and 10 pieces of paper. Time to earn your keep, Picasso, he mutters. I wonder who this Picasso is. Does he have a tire swing like me? Does he ever eat his crayons? I know I've lost my magic, so I try my very best. I clutch the crayon and think. I scan my domain. What is yellow? A banana. I draw a banana. The paper tears, but only a little. I lean back. and Mac picks up the drawing. Another day, another scribble, he says. 1 down, 9 to go. What else is yellow, I wonder, scanning my domain. I draw another banana, and then I draw 8 more. 3 visitors. 3 visitors are here. A woman, a boy, a girl. I strut across my domain for them. I dangle from my tire swing. I eat 3 banana peels in a row. The boy spits at my window. The girl throws a handful of pebbles. Sometimes I'm glad the glass is there. My visitors return. After the show, the spit pebble children come back. I display my impressive teeth. I splash in my filthy pool. I grunt and hoot. I eat and eat and eat some more. The children pound their pathetic chests. They toss more pebbles. Slimy chimps, I mutter. I throw a meatball at them. Sometimes I wish the glass were not there. I just called those humans slimy chimps. It's a rude name for humans. You know, I'm not generally in favor of rude names, but in this particular case, in spite of the fact that you know I love children, I'm inclined to agree with him. Sorry. I'm sorry I called those children slimy chimps. My mother would be ashamed of me. Julia. Like the spit pebble children, Julia is a child, but that, after all, is not her fault. While her father, George, cleans them all each night, Julia sits by my domain. She could sit anywhere she wants, by the carousel, in the empty food court, on the bleachers coated in sawdust. But I am not bragging when I say that she always chooses to sit with me. I think it's because we both love to draw. Sarah, Julia's mother, used to help clean them all. But when she got sick and grew pale and stooped, Sarah stopped coming. Every night, Julia offers to help George, and every night he says firmly, "Homework, Julia. The floors will just get dirty again." Homework, I've discovered, involves a sharp pencil and thick books and long sighs. I enjoy chewing pencils. I'm sure I would excel at homework. Sometimes Julia dozes off and sometimes she reads her books, but mostly she draws pictures and talks about her day. I don't know why people talk to me, but they often do. Perhaps it's because they think I can't understand them. Or perhaps it's because I can't talk back. Julia likes science and art. She doesn't like Lila Burpee, who teases her because her clothes are old. And she does like Deshaun Williams, who teases her too, but in a nice way. And she would like to be a famous artist when she grows up. Sometimes Julia draws me. I am an elegant fellow in her pictures, with my silver back gleaming like moon on moss. I never look angry the way I do on the fading billboard by the highway. I always look a bit sad, though. Drawing Bob. I love Julia's pictures of Bob. She draws him flying across the page, a blur of feet and fur. She draws him motionless, peeking out from behind a trash can or the soft hill of my belly. Sometimes in her drawings, Julia gives Bob wings or a lion's mane. Once she gave him a tortoise shell. But the best thing she ever gave him wasn't a drawing. Julia gave Bob his name. For a long time, no one knew what to call Bob. Now and then, a mall worker would try to approach him with a tidbit. "Here, doggy," they'd call, holding out a French fry. "Come on, Pooch," they'd say. "How about a little piece of sandwich?" But he would always vanish into the shadows before anyone could get too close. One afternoon, Julia decided to draw the little dog curled up in the corner of my domain. First, she watched him for a long time, chewing on her thumbnail. I could tell she was looking at him the way an artist looks at the world when she's trying to understand it. Finally, she grabbed her pencil and set to work. When she was finished, she held up the page. There he was, the tiny, big-eared dog. He was smart and cunning, but his gaze was wistful. Under the picture were 3 bold, confident marks, circled in black. I was pretty certain it was a word, even though I couldn't read it. Julia's father peered over her shoulder. "That's him exactly," he said, nodding. He pointed to the circled marks. "I didn't realize his name was Bob," he said. "Me either," said Julia. She smiled. "I had to draw him first." Bob and Julia. Bob will not let humans touch him. He says their scent upsets his digestion. But every now and then I see him sitting at Julia's feet. Her fingers move gently just behind his right ear. Mac. Usually Mac leaves after the last show, but tonight he is in his office working late. When he's done, he stops by my domain and stares at me for a long time while he drinks from a brown bottle. George joins him, broom in hand, and Mac says the things he always says. "How about that game last night?" And "Business has been slow, but it'll get better, you'll see." And "Don't forget to empty the trash." Mac glances over at the picture Julia is drawing. "What are you making?" he asks. "It's for my room," Julia says. "It's a flying dog." She holds up her drawing, eyeing it critically. She likes airplanes and dogs. Mac murmurs, sounding unconvinced. He looks at George. "How's the wife doing anyway?" "About the same," George says. "She has good days and bad days." "Yeah, don't we all," Mac says. Mac starts to leave, then pauses. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a crumpled green bill, and presses it into George's hand. "Here," Mac says with a shrug. "Buy the kids some more crayons." Mac is already out the door before George can yell, "Thanks." Let's see, guys, what do you think about our characters and our happiness continuum? We've had the pleasure of meeting Bob the dog, who impresses me as kind of a character. Where do you guys think Bob falls on this happiness continuum? He certainly has more freedom than some other fellas in this book. And what about Julia? We're getting to know Julia a little bit better. It sounds like her life is complicated, certainly not as simple as the lives of some children in the world. Her mom is sick. That's gotta be hard. I really like her dad, George. He seems like a good guy. Let's see where you guys think Julia goes on this happiness continuum. And how do you feel about Ivan? He started out kind of in the middle. At this point, we're getting to know a little bit more about his friends, about his relationship with Bob, which is kind of surprising and a lovely, right? And Mac, I mean, we've discovered that he's got some concerns about his business. That would that move him up or down on the continuum? Also, we saw him do an act of kindness and give George a little bit of extra money, even though we know that Mac is struggling and worried about his own business. That was kind of surprising to me, and I think you'll have to agree that acts of kindness tend to make us feel better too, make us a little happier, whether we're on this receiving end or whether we're the one who's giving the kindness. So I look forward to hearing what you guys are thinking at this point. So make sure that you put your comments in the comment section, okay? I will see you later.